everyone, I'm Professor Weinberg, and welcome to Introduction to Data Analytics. This is DATA205. I'll be going through the setup of the class today. We're going to start signing you up for the different platforms that we're on. We're going to talk about the syllabus. I need you to stay with me, pay attention, and we'll get everything sorted out. So before we get started, I know that this is a class that induces a lot of anxiety. In my other life, I'm also a yoga instructor and meditation instructor. So before we begin, I want you to just take a deep breath, letting it fill out your belly, letting it expand your chest and your lungs, taking it in and then blowing it all out. We're going to do that 2 more times. I have found that students sometimes have trouble listening because they get so nervous about a class. So I'm just going to tell you right now that if you do the things that we ask you to do, it's really all going to be all right. This is a very difficult class. There's a lot of work involved. I think you'll find it very rewarding, but you need to work with us and give yourself over to the process. So everybody take another deep breath and then let it out. And one more time, filling up the belly, filling up the ribs and the chest, even lifting your head and letting it out once more. All right. If you cannot, I have somebody writing in that they can't hear. So good. Shamama, you should also let them know to try to check their settings. So what we're going to talk about today, the course instructors we're going to introduce at the end. But I'm going to talk about the course and the course requirements. And hopefully you like me because I'm going to be at every lecture and every lab session, intruding as much as possible. We're going to run the course like it's a call-in radio show. So you guys obviously don't need to unmask if you don't want me to see your faces. But we are going to ask you to participate, and there is no such thing as a stupid question. If you have questions, we ask that you raise your hand. There should be like a smiley face with a hand in front of it icon, or actually it looks like this, at the top of your screen. If you don't see it for today, because we're not completely signed into Teams right now, we're just on a sort of link to get into a meeting, then just go ahead and interrupt and we'll take it from there. All right, so I'm going to take you through the setup of the course, all of the different platforms that we're going to be working on, and the different expectations. And you can see that we have a chat going on for some of you, because I have the other instructors with us to also help out with the all of the ins and outs, the different technical logistics of this course. There's a lot of moving parts. It'll all make sense to you soon. All right, so this week we're going to go through getting you signed on to the platforms, how everything is arranged, and next week we're going to demonstrate how to use them. So for right now, the focus is just understanding where your assignments are going to be, what we're going to be doing, where to find it, and making sure that you get through any kind of technical difficulties before we really jump in. So once again, I'm Professor Weinberg, and I will not actually be in Powdermaker Hall this year. I'm teaching completely remotely, but I encourage you to link with me on LinkedIn for professional purposes. I also have a website if you want to look at it. You can message me through Teams, or you can always email me. And I didn't put the email here, but it's on the syllabus. Okay, so for those of you who are not sure where you are, this is DATA205, Introductory Analytics. Most of you, I assume, are here because you got my email. If you didn't get the email that came out to the rest of the class, you need to check your email in CUNY first, because that's where it was sent from. Others of you saw the message on Blackboard where we also posted the announcements. And you want to also make sure that Blackboard is sending to the announcements to emails that you check regularly. So in this class, we have the introduction to descriptive, inferential, bivariate, and multivariate statistical techniques. That's a lot of jargon. It's a big mouthful. We're going to be analyzing social science data this year. So some of you are coming from other kinds of backgrounds. Hopefully you'll enjoy the different kinds of things that we're looking at, but they can be applied to all different kinds of disciplines. Whether you're in biology or language studies, or even in the humanities, there's a lot that you can transport from what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to be using the lab exercises to reinforce the meaning of statistics and how they behave. This is one of those courses where you're not going to get through if you just memorize and regurgitate. We're going to really ask you to think about things. And a lot of our lab exercises, as you'll see, there's a number of different right answers. So there's not always only one right answer, although there are some wrong answers. If you've already taken Econ 249 or Psych 107, you should not be in this class. And if you took statistics at a community college, you probably shouldn't be in this class either. You should probably be in DATA207, which is the add-on. It's a 1-credit course. So just check that this is the right place for you. Any questions so far? Okay. So technically, data is actually a plural word. So it's the plural of datum, but we oftentimes use it in the singular also. And it's used as individual fact, statistics, or items of information. Sometimes we also use it with a singular verb, a body of facts. You'll find that people are pretty lax about this, and I'll probably go back and forth as I'm talking, but I just wanted you to see what the technical truth was here. Analytics is the science of logical analysis, or the analysis of data. And it's also looking at the patterns and other meaningful information gathered from the analysis of data. So we're bringing these two things together, this information and this science of logical analysis. So analytics plus data brings you to data analytics. So we have the logical analysis using math, statistics, and computer software, and individual statistics, facts, and items of information. And the reason that I'm harping on this is because data analytics is part of this growing and exciting field of data science. And you can see here in this little chart that I've put together, we have data science at the outset, and there are all these different pieces of it. If you're coming to us from a computer science class or a one of the mathematics courses, you can see that there's a whole range of things that are considered data science. We're going to be focused on the analysis, but we'll also be talking about data acquisition. Emily Cruz just wrote in about the lab classes. So right now, this is the 10:05 lab class. We also meet again at 1:40 for the people who are in the afternoon.
Professor?
Yes.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify because I'm in 1D, so I didn't get to see where 1D slots are for the announcement on Blackboard.
We're using the same link.
No, yeah. I follow that, but I just want to know, should I stay in this morning session right now, or should I just sign in later?
I think it'd be better if you sign in later.
Okay.
Because we'll have, the afternoon sessions are a little bit smaller. But, if you want to sit through it twice, you're welcome to do that also. But yeah, so it's the same links and everything else. The lecture is always going to be on this link. The labs are always going to be on this link. And the only difference between the labs are whether you sign in the morning or you sign in the afternoon. If you're in lab 1A, 1B, or 1C, you should be here right now. If you're in 1D or 1E, those meet in the afternoon.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Same link, same everything. And one more thing about Blackboard. I'm posting on the lecture announcements, but we won't be posting the lab announcements. So the way that the course is set up is there's a lecture and a lab, and you know that those are connected sections when you sign up. And so you have different teaching assistants or lab instructors. I use those terms interchangeably. They're running the different lab sessions in ways that we'll talk about in a little bit. And so they'll be grading your papers, and they'll have their own sets of announcements and things like that. They'll also be having their own separate sessions for help and office hours. And so that's one of the reasons that we have you divided up this way.
I had that same question also, because in the email it said that A, B, and C have the morning, and then E and F had the afternoon. So I was in D also. I'll just rejoin later.
I left off D. Yeah, D, E, and F. But I don't think there's an F right now. There's just a D and E.
Okay, so I'll join later. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And if you're not sure which class you're in, which lab, it doesn't matter for right now. You can check in a little bit later. We'll show you how to do that. And if you're here for the morning and you should have been in the afternoon, we'll get it sorted out next week. Deep breaths, everybody. It's going to be a long semester. We need to be ready for the marathon. All right, so we have data acquisition, which is basically how you get the data. There's the data architecture, which is really like, how do you structure it? How do you manage saving it? Where do you put all of it? Then we also have the analysis, which gets into the cleaning it, interpreting it, visualizing it. We won't do any data cleaning in this class, but we will be talking a lot about interpretation and visualization. And the other instructors can tell you that one of the favorite things that I do in this class, at least for me, is this game of what's going on in this graph. We'll be doing a lot of that here. And then there's also the data archiving, the presentation, the preservation, the storage, and the documentation. And we'll be talking about that too as we work with things like code books and how you can retrieve information. So we'll be covering quite a few of these aspects of data science, but our focus will be on analytics. And the reason that I emphasize this is if you are in the data analytics minor, then you're probably very interested in data science. And so all of this flows. This course is the heart of that minor. It's also in the backbone of our sociology curriculum. This is probably one of the most important courses in the sociology curriculum, because we're constantly thinking about empirical questions and how do we go beyond opinions and really think about things with data. Also, for those of you who are interested in going further with this, not only do we have the analytics minor, which is open to everyone, but if you get a B+ or better in this class, you are eligible to go on to our master's in data analytics. So if you end up loving this course and thinking you might like a well-paying career in analytics, this is one of your pathways. There's generally two different types of methodologies for looking at data. More and more these are becoming intertwined, and I'm one of the researchers who moves back and forth between them quite fluidly. Quantitative methods and qualitative methods. And so quantitative methods really are anything that you can quantify, that you can put numbers to. And so we use theories and other things, and we start testing them with numbers, which is what we're really going to be focusing on in this course. But qualitative methods is when we're looking at things like text, magazines, conversations, dialogue, newspapers, social media. And I'll be talking to you a lot about social media this year because I'll be talking about my work on influence operations, and we'll be doing some analysis related to that. In fact, it's going to be one of the themes of the course. But you'll see that we're going to move back and forth between these words, these tweets, or these Facebook announcements, or how people are interacting with them. And we're going to turn them into numbers that we can then do things with. So you thought this was a statistics course, and in some part it is, but we're really focused on the analytics part. So statistics is just one piece of that analytics. We're also using math, and we're using computer software. So statistics itself is really about either the numerical facts, right? We're talking about the statistical evidence, but it's also the science that deals with the collection, classification, analysis, and interpretation of numerical facts or data. And it uses mathematical theories of probability, especially, which we'll talk about quite a lot in this course, to impose order and help us understand what we're looking at. So you have, in any kind of data set, lots and lots of numbers. What do they mean? Well, statistics helps us tease out that meaning in a very patterned and rigorous way. But it's only one part of what we'll be doing in analytics. So statistics is a field of study providing methods for collecting, organizing, reducing, analyzing, and interpreting data. And as I said, it's just one part of the analytics piece that we'll be looking at. So this course, as I said, is a really important course, and it's a really important set of life skills. So when you come out of here, I can almost promise you that as you read the news, if you do that, or this year as you're interacting with Insta or TikTok or anything else, you'll be hearing my voice in your head. Data science is one of these things where just about everything we do right now is being tracked. And You know, every time you walk around with your cell phone, if you pass a geo barrier, they know that you've been there, they know where you are. When you go to buy something, when you click on a link, all of this information is being tracked by various companies. And they have huge amounts of data that they can use to then do predictions about how people will behave. And so there was a very famous case in Target where they were looking at what people bought and how it correlated with what was going on in their lives. And they saw somebody buying something at Target in their algorithm. And they sent coupons for diapers. And so her father figured out that she was pregnant. The teen Target knew that she was pregnant before her parents did. And the family found out because of the coupons. Questions? So last year I was getting into gardening and some other things on Amazon. I'm a vegan, so you see the oat milk recommendation. And so you can see that this is what Amazon recommended for me based on the different kinds of things that I bought. Here are some recommendations for Professor Cohen, who's another professor in our department, and you can see that his look completely different from mine, right? So Amazon and these other online retailers are tracking the different kinds of things that we buy, and they're using statistics to try and predict what it is that we would want to buy next. And you probably get these suggestions all the time. Anytime you're on Google and you see the ads, they're trying to tailor them to you. And so they're using data science to do this. And we'll have a better understanding of all of that as we go through the semester. For those of you who are thinking about credit, we have something called a FICO score, which is your how reliable you are in terms of your payments and how much money you have. And this is something else that gets tracked. So anytime you want to go buy something big or get a new credit card or buy a car or something like that, they're going to be checking that credit score of yours. And again, it's based on this tracking of behavior, this counting up of different things that you do, and this combination of it into some quantifiable sum. So here we have all of these different aspects of what you do with your money that then gets summarized through statistics into a single score. This past year, 2020, was the year of the US Census. Those results are just coming out now. And those, again, that's a big survey where we're collecting information on the American population. We'll be working with some, not the census data, but other kinds of survey data. And here we're using it to determine voting districts and how much money different areas get based on what their populations are. So these are just a couple of examples of ways that we see data in everyday life. Here's the one that you can't get away from even if you want to. One of the reasons that we're online this year, right? We've all been dealing with this pandemic. And early on in the pandemic, we talked about flattening the curve. And here you don't see any numbers, but what you do see is a visualization of the relationship between what happens when we don't have protective measures and what happens when we do have protective measures. And that line across then is for the healthcare system capacity and how it can handle it. And we've seen this play out a number of times over the last year and a half. So as you go through this course with me, you will get better and better at reading these graphs, better and better at understanding the implications of the data that are being collected for you, and better at interpreting different kinds of data. So I'm going to take a little break from talking right here, and we're going to play my favorite game, What's Going On in This Graph? And I invite you to, if you can, raise your hand and tell me what's going on in this graph. What is it about? If this seems like an easy question to you, then that might be because it is. There's no tricks here. And if it's something that you've never seen before, or you've never analyzed a graph before, it might seem a little difficult. I need a brave volunteer. I just saw Hannah raise her hand. Go ahead, Hannah. Did I say your name correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe this is a graph of the number of people who've had COVID cases since March. showing the rise, and the red is people who still have cases. The light blue or teal is the people who have recovered from COVID, and the dark blue are the people who've died from COVID.
Excellent. So the only thing that I would correct there is that the red is the people who at the time of the collecting of the data had active cases. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they still, if they had a case in March, they still have a case in August.
Yeah.
All right. So how did you figure out that that's what was in this graph? We're on slide number 23. Oops, somebody took my controls. Okay. So Brianna said she could see this from the graph key. Yes, when you get a graph, there's all kinds of information on it about what you're looking at. So you see those little red, the light green, and the blue squares. That's called a legend. And here you have red for active, the greenish one for recovered, the blue for deaths. And then you can see on the left-hand side of the graph going up, that's the vertical axis, we call that the y-axis. We have the number of cases in millions. And down on the bottom going across, we have the horizontal axis, that's called the x-axis, and that's where we have months. And this is from 2020, so we're looking at really from the start of the pandemic in the US, or actually this is global, so again, reading the titles is important. So from the start of the pandemic all the way through. And now what do you notice about this graph? Something that we haven't said already. We now know what the graph says, we now know what's on it, but what does it tell us?
That there are more people who recovered from it.
More people who recovered from it than what?
Than the active cases.
And more importantly, than who died from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does this make you wonder anything? Is there something that's not on the graph that you have questions about?
Well, part of this is though that you only know about the people who've been discovered to have it, right? So like there's so many people who there are probably more people who've recovered from it or still have active cases that just are asymptomatic or didn't know about it or didn't report it for various reasons that this graph then can't account for.
Right, so Hannah is talking about measurement error, right? We think we're capturing cases, but these are only the ones that we've documented, and there could be a whole bunch of others that we don't see here. And we always need to think about when we're looking at the graphs about what isn't in there that maybe we wish was there, because it leads us to new questions and new research. Or even to criticism of the kinds of things that we're thinking so that we have a way of moving forward or interacting with it and using our judgment. Go ahead, Marie.
Question. So I know this is about the COVID cases, but it's telling us about, I also see the vaccine word. So does the graph also show the people that has the vaccine, or is just people that doesn't have the vaccine?
Yeah, so this is cases from 2020. You can see where it says global case count as of August 30th, 2020. So that was before the vaccine was available.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I pulled this off of Statista, but you can see that they got this information from a study at Johns Hopkins University. So it's also important to check the source. Go ahead, Ralph.
Yeah, so it also shows numbers like 7.76 million, and then it all adds it up. So would this be a quantitative type of graph?
The graph is entirely quantitative because we have different kinds of data here. We have the dates along the bottom, and we'll talk about those a lot more in later weeks. I'm not going to get into whether those are numbers or months, but you can see that they're chronological here, right? And then we have the quantification of how many cases of each type. Now, the type itself is a kind of qualitative data, right? Are you an active case? Are you a recovered case? Are you a deceased case? We've made those into categories. And then we've done the counts by categories. So this is a kind of statistical analysis that involves both quantitative variables and qualitative variables. And as I said, we'll talk a lot about that in coming weeks. But what you can see here also is what you have is summary counts. So when they've told you how many are active, how many are recovered, and how many are deceased, they've added up the data from each of the months to give us the totals.
All right, I understand. Thank you.
Hannah, you have another point to make?
Yeah, it just like the title of this graph seems to be pushing an agenda.
As they often do. We'll talk a lot about clickbait this year. And sometimes the names of the graphs are not actually indicative of what's inside them, right? They say one thing, but when you really look at the data, you might come away with a different insight. And so one of the games that we're going to be playing as we play this, what's going on in this graph, is what would you make the title or the headline? So the title here really should be the smaller one that says Global Confirmed COVID-19 Cases by Patient Outcome, because that's really what's on the graph. But that big, bold black print above it, that is the headline, right? That often goes with the article. And you'll see this a lot in the Washington Post or the New York Times, where they have a graph and they have something that they've pulled out of it that they think is important here. So what was pulled out for this one, the clickbait, is that the global cases passed 25 million, right? There's been more than 25 million cases is what they took away when they added all of the different pieces together. But you could look at this and come up with a different headline depending on your agenda that would be very accurate based on what's here. So would anybody like to take a stab at giving us a headline? Go ahead, Brianna.
Can you hear me?
You need to, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say for this, global cases shows that more people recovered from COVID than died, or something like that.
Sure, we can have an optimistic outlook. More people recovered than died. What else could you do? Go ahead, Vincent.
Let me unmute my mic. There we go. I would say 25 million have already died. Not just have the case, but have already died since 2020.
Well, so in this particular graph, that's not actually accurate. You can see that deceased is 0.85 million. If you look just above, there's a total of 25.2 in that box. Do you see where I'm pointing? Oh, wait, I have a new tool here. Okay, so here's the total, right? This is all the cases combined, the red cases, the green cases, and the blue cases. And the blue cases going up here are only 0.85 million.
Oh, okay. But you know what? I read it where you see the top of the blue, it's on the 25 million mark.
Right. So what they did here is they have a curve showing us all of the different numbers, and this is a stacked chart. So then this is the total number is this 25 million. Okay. And then it all adds up to this.
Got it.
Okay, Sachin, go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking that we can also make a data that how many percentage of people are dead from the total cases.
Right, and to get that information, you would take the 0.85 million and divide by 25.22.
Yes. And we can also do with the active, how many percentage of active cases and how many percentage of the recovered cases.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so here's the global case count. So they went to August 30th. And again, they added all of this together to get that 25.22. So another potential headline is cases are rising, right? Active cases are rising, or recovery is increasing. Vincent, do you have another question? Or is your hand still raised from before?
No, it's still raised from before. I apologize.
No problem.
Let me knock it down. Hold on.
All right. So in this little exercise, you've just gotten a taste of the kinds of things we're going to be doing. the kinds of interactions that you can expect in both the lecture and the lab, where we're going to just take time out to answer things. If we need to slow things down to make sure that you understand them, we'll do it. If we reach a point where it's taking too long, I might push you off to another session. But for the most part, there's a lot of opportunity to talk about what's in the different slides. And you'll have them available to you on your own as we go through them. Today, that didn't happen because we're just signing on to Teams. So let me now move into course construction and to talk about those platforms, just like I promised you. So in this class, as we discussed, you're going to understand how to use data. We're going to talk about the structure of data sets. We're going to talk about the logic of statistical programming. We're going to be using a program called R. We're going to be looking at different types of data, just like we did. We've got the categories and we've got the numbers, and we'll go into a lot more detail about that and about how they can be coded and what you can do with the different things. And we're going to be talking a lot about how you visualize these data. And visualization is just a fancy term for thinking about how do we graph it, how do we represent it in pictures so that it's easier for people to consume. We'll also be doing a lot of that consumption ourselves. We'll be thinking about how to analyze the data. So we'll be doing basic statistical techniques. We'll be doing methods of modeling, and we'll be doing techniques for testing models using probability. And then we'll be talking about how to draw conclusions from the data. So we'll be doing a lot of work accepting and rejecting hypotheses, which is the basis of a lot of scientific inquiry. We'll be interpreting statistical output, and we'll be using the visualizations to draw conclusions of our own. So why you need this course. Oh, and I want to just point out to you that you don't see a lot of math here. So those of you who have math fear can again take a deep breath. I have been in this field for more than 25 years. I do a lot of heavy quantitative analysis, and I can tell you that I have not had to calculate any of these statistical things other than percentages, or maybe some small different things by hand. But a lot of different statistics classes will take you through the calculations of different parts of what they're looking at. My perspective on this is we have one semester. The computer does a lot of it. So any of the more involved mathematics here are things that the computer handles for you. I want you to understand what goes into the different equations that we're looking at so that you understand the concepts, but you will not have to remember any formulas in order to do well in this class. And you won't have to use a calculator. I think it's much more important as we move into this world of big data, where it's very difficult to do a lot of these calculations quickly, to really just understand what's in front of us, what's gone into it, the questions that we should be asking of it. And so that's the focus of my version of this 205. If you're in a different one, they might still be doing it where they focus more on the mathematics, but you can see that the department set me up with the largest sections because my colleagues feel that this is really the way to move in the future. Questions? Okay, so why else you might need this course, aside from the fact that it's amazing and important, is that it's required for sociology majors and minors. It's required for the data analytics minor. It's a prerequisite for any coursework you might do in the master's program in applied social data analytics and applied social research. And it also meets a math and quantitative reasoning requirement for pathways. I know that there's also some education majors who are here who need a quantitative class. So this one meets that requirement as well as a requirement for FINES. Okay, so how this course is organized. This is a 6 contact hour, 4 credit course. So you get 4 credits on your transcript for it, which is more than a lot of the courses. If you are in data analytics or sociology, you'll know that we have a couple special courses like this. The 212, 205, and 334 are the chunkiest courses, and also 331 theory are the chunkiest courses in our curriculum. This one is 6 contact hours, which means that even though we have 4 hours in the classroom, there's 2 hours unsupervised that also goes on. I'll talk about that in a moment. So you should expect to have 2 hours of lecture, 2 hours of lab, 2 hours of online engagement, and then to have homework. So I want you to think about this course in terms of needing 8 to 10 hours of your time. And if you can commit to that, to do the different assignments that we have, this is set up in a way that's really meant for you to succeed. and to do well. Someone asked if it's smart to take 2 data courses at the same time. I think that really depends on your habits as a student, on what else you have going on in your life, and what the requirements of those other courses are. So I'm just trying to be very upfront with you. We call this realistic job preview, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that you understand what's going on with your grades. I'm not sure that I updated this one. Is this still correct? Let me just check the syllabus. I think there might be a mistake here. I don't have the syllabus open. And just a moment. There is some extra credit this semester. We didn't have that in past semesters. And we still are in 30, 40, 30. Okay. So this is how it works. We have the readings, we have the lab homeworks, and the participation in class, and we have some tests. The tests this year, we just decided among the instructors they're all going to be take home. So we're going to take away some of that test-induced fear. The tests are going to look a lot like your labs. So if you're succeeding in your labs and you're understanding what's going on in the labs, then you're going to ace the tests. The reading, it's very, very easy to get 100% on the reading, and that's the padding for a lot of the different work that you're going to be doing. So sometimes the labs are a little bit difficult for us. There's a little bit of cushion built into the syllabus where we're going to drop the lowest grade on the lab. And so the reading is here also to help you. If you do the reading, you'll do better on the lab. You'll understand my lecture more. You'll be prepared. But then also you're going to get points for doing what you were already supposed to have done. The labs are really the heart of all of this. This is where you get a chance to take what I'm talking about in the lectures and put it into action and play with it yourselves. And we have a lot of support set up to help you do well on the labs. And then the tests are really where we see how you do on your own. And I will talk a little bit more next week about cheating. It's been a problem in this class in the past. It doesn't serve you. And we react to it very harshly. We really want you to be here doing your own work and learning the things that we have prepared for you. And I know that students care a lot about their grades. I don't actually care that much about the grades. I care a lot more that you understand the material that we're trying to teach you, and that you come away being a good consumer of data. And so I've designed this so that there's sort of a compact between us. I have different course requirements that I need you to fulfill. I need you to do the readings on time. I need you to do the labs well and hand them in on time. You need to take your tests on time. And you need to be paying attention. If you're not understanding things, you need to be self-motivated to go seek out the help that we offer, which I'll talk about in a minute. There's a lot of support built into this course. And if you do all of those things, you should be able to do pretty well in the course. In fact, 35% of the students last year in our spring semester were ready for advanced work in the master's program if that's what they so chose to do. So I'm very hopeful that we will get you through this, and as long as we're a team in cooperation. Okay.
Professor?
Yes.
You said something about take-home tests. Are they timed?
We are not going to time the test this year. In the past, we've done them all like during the lecture or during the lab. And this time you'll have a couple of days to do the test.
Okay. Thank you, Professor.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the platforms that we have for this, oops, why is this showing? Okay, the platforms that we'll be using this semester are 4. We'll be using Perusal, which I'll talk about in a moment, MS Teams, which we're on right now, Blackboard, and RStudio Cloud. I'm going to dive into each of these, as well as to the textbook question right now, but I'm going to go through them one by one. So we're going to start with Perusal. So I just got a question of whether you could buy the PDF of the book, and the answer to that is no. You need to sign on to Perusal, and you need to either get the code from the bookstore, or the preferred method for students was to sign on Perusal and buy the book there. I have all of the homework set up week by week with their deadlines there, And so you can just, once you've logged in, you'll be able to do all of the readings. I know that some of you prefer to have physical copies of the book. I am sympathetic to that, but I have found that this is the best way to motivate students to actually do the reading and for me to track it. In the first semester that I taught this course, I would have students complaining that we were moving too fast, which actually turned out in some part to be true. We did slow down after that, but it was hard to credit it when they hadn't done any of the reading at all. So, and there is definitely a correspondence between whether you're doing the reading and how well you're doing the labs and the tests. So you benefit from doing the reading in so many different ways. So the two books for this course are Naked Statistics and Discovering Statistics Using R. Naked Statistics is a kind of essay book. It's very easy to read. Students last year really enjoyed it. It makes a lot of the concepts that we're talking about in Discovering Statistics Using R much more real and lively. Discovering Statistics Using R is a quirky textbook. It is a textbook at heart, but the writer of it, the main writer, Andy Field, has a very interesting sense of humor that students tend to enjoy. He's a little bit quirky and irreverent in the way that he writes about statistics. And he has a lot of good examples about how to use R for it. And so the explanations in there are going to be more detailed. They're going to be helpful to you in terms of the mechanics of what we're doing, whereas I think the Naked Statistics helps you think about it more in an analytic way. So you can purchase these books through Perusal. Traditionally, that's been the best way to do it. Last semester, they were 30% cheaper than the bookstore. And students who wanted to buy the book through the bookstore, there were just a couple who needed to do that for financial aid. But if you can buy it directly from Perusal, that is the most convenient thing. This year, the bookstore said that they will price match. So if you do need to buy it from there, we need to check the pricing to make sure that you get the best deal. Questions about the textbooks?
So it's better if we order it. So it's better if we order it from Perusal, right?
Yeah, if you order it from Perusal, once you sign on, which I'm going to show you in a moment, you'll be able to get access to the book right away. If you wait for the store, the bookstore, there's going to be a delay because they need to go back to Perusal and order the code and then have it available to you. But the good news is our first reading is not due until the 13th. Go ahead, Gail. I see that you have a question.
Yes, hi, good morning. I wanted to ask in regards with the book, you mentioned that all of our obviously labs and what we do for homework with the lectures will be evident of how much we read with the reading. Now, does that mean that assignments are going to be posted with Perusal? And
the reading assignments are in the syllabus, and they're also all posted on Perusal.
Okay, because my concern was if I found whatever secondhand website or something where I can get the book for a lot cheaper, I'd rather do that than.
And then you won't get any credit for the reading.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Brianna, for posting the code. Go ahead, Sachin.
Oh yeah, the same thing for me. I got the online access of these books from somewhere else, but you said we're gonna do homework through Persuade.
Right,
Okay.
we're going to do the homework through Perusal. So, you know, if you're one of these people who likes to have the book because after you read it, you want to be able to flip through the pages, then go ahead and do that if you find a good deal on it. But you need to be able to do the homework on Perusal. And after you use Perusal, even when the semester is over, you will have bought your book forever. So you'll still have electronic access to it even when the course is over.
Okay. Can you share the link for the Persuade?
I have it in just a moment. Let me take you through just why Perusal is such an interesting thing to use. So you can access it anywhere. You don't have to carry your textbooks around with you. You'll be able to use it on your phone or on the computer. Okay. And you'll be able to actually you'll need to make comments or questions as you go through that other students can answer or respond to or upvote because they have the same question. And I'll go through this in a lot more detail on Monday when we talk about how to get the most out of perusal. But for me, it has these metrics about how many people have completed the reading with the maximum score, how many people didn't do any work at all, how many still are in progress. And it also gives me reports on what you guys are confused about, which is very helpful for me in terms of thinking about the lectures. So I monitor that. If you ask questions on it, I'll be answering them. But in order to log on, you go to perusal.com. So it's just a website. You're going to create an account using your email address and password. And for this one, you can use any email address that you want to, as long as you remember which one it is. Now, the important thing here is that I know that you guys have lots of email addresses. So whichever one you sign on and buy your book on is the only one you're going to be able to use to get back to those books. We've had some confusion about that in the past. So remember which one you sign on with. If you have a Google email, I actually recommend using that because Perusal makes it really easy to sign on with Google. It just takes you straight to the course. You'll still need to put in the course code, and here you can see it. It's this Weinberg, all caps, -BA2QP. See, that's our code there. And it's also in the syllabus, and it's been posted in the reading, in the chat if you want to copy it. Okay, in order to access the readings, you're going to log in. You'll be taken to a course homepage. It'll show you a list of all of the reading assignments and deadlines. And you can access the reading assignments by clicking on the link for the assignment, and you'll be prompted to purchase the textbooks then if you haven't yet. Let me take you through, show you what that looks like. Okay. I have too many windows open. Can you all see my screen right now with the sign in for Perusal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to sign in with Google. Okay, and you can see here, this is the view of my gradebook. I can see who's already signed on. It looks like it's a lot of you already, and some of you have already started the reading. If I go to the course home, actually, I'm going to go to student view. You'll have to enter your student ID here. I don't know if it'll let me go any further than this.
Is this the CUNY ID or?
This is your CUNY ID, because we have it linked to your CUNY First information. So when I'm doing grading and things, I'll be able to link up all of your records.
Okay.
I need to just get out of this. Okay. I'm stuck in the test student because I don't have an ID number.
You can use mine if you want to use it just for an example.
That's all right. I'm going to just show you. I'm just going to sign back in and I'll be able to show you, even though it's not exactly how it'll look. You'll be able to see the. Okay. So when you sign on, after you've bought your book, you're going to see that there's a couple of different things here. Here's our first assignment due the 13th of September. We have 3 different readings in discovering statistics using R. And if you click on them, you get this part over here. You'll then open. And you can see, I have been looking at something. You can see the reading here. This blue part shows that I have a comment. And then if you wanted to write a comment, you'd be able to do it here, just like in any kind of message posting. It should be a fairly easy interface for you to use. And I'll go through it in much more detail on Monday, but this should give you an idea. All right, let me go back to Teams. Oh, goodness. Too many things open. to get back to you guys. Ah, there we go. Okay, sorry about that. Let me now put our PowerPoint back up. It doesn't make it easy to go back and forth.
Hi, Professor.
Yes.
I just had a question concerning when you would recommend us to purchase the book. I see that the first assignment is due on the 13th. Would you recommend by the next week or so?
Yeah, I want you to be done with the assignment on the 13th.
Right.
We have class all next week. And then we're off the following 2 meetings because of Labor Day and the Jewish holidays. So, but I think, you're going to want to sign on early enough that if there's any problems, you can deal with them. But also, if you're on the fence about taking this class, keep in mind that there's a time limit on when you can return the book.
Okay.
Right. So, and I forget what that is. I think it's 2 weeks, but you'll have to check on the perusal terms to make sure, because I don't want you to get stuck with it if you aren't really sure whether you want to take it. So the timing is really up to you in terms of when you're going to be able to get the reading done and finish it so that you're done for the 13th.
No, I just kind of got a hold up because when I checked the bookstore, it wasn't available. But I see that you did recommend that we just go straight to perusal. And so concerning with financial aid, I'm just trying to see like when I could get the book. But I'll try to get it as soon as I can.
Yeah, and so for those of you who for financial aid reasons are buying the book through the bookstore, if you run into problems with access or it seems to be taking a long time, just keep me in the loop on that. Sooner is better than later. Like if they give you a date and I know what it is, I can sometimes advocate for you, or there may be some other solutions that we can find.
Instructor?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Gabriella.
So can you please repeat how we should sign in?
So pick the email that you want to use. Make sure you remember which one you use. You go to perusal.com, you create a new account, you enter the code for the class, which is that Weinberg dash whatever, it's on the other page, BA something, it changes every semester, BA2QP. And then when you go to do the reading, it'll say you don't have the book in your library, and it will ask you to purchase it.
Okay.
And I'll give you a much more in-depth tutorial on perusal on Monday. I'm going to start moving along from here so that we can talk about the other things that we're using. So perusal, just to keep in mind, tracks you, just like a lot of the websites that you're using will know your reading and your engagement with the material, and it generates grades for each of the assignments. Most of the students who do the readings get 100% on them. We've set it up in a way that it should be easy to get 100% on the readings. We really just want to encourage you to do the work. And so this is one of the easiest ways to keep your grade up. It's also one of the easiest ways to hurt your grade if you're not doing the reading. And the reading assignments count as much as the tests in the way that we've set this all up. There is a mistake here where I've said that they're due the following Wednesday before lab. You'll see in the syllabus the readings are due on Monday. Depaki, these are the gremlin errors that you were talking about. Go ahead, Hannah.
Yeah, I was wondering how much does the participating or engaging in the reading count towards your grade?
85% of the reading grade is just for completing it. And then there's a number of ways to get up to that other 15% that have to do with interacting with what other people say or posting comments. And I'll go through that on Monday in more detail to talk about how to get the best grade on perusal. Jennifer, what's your question?
Hi, I'm a little confused because it says that it tracks your reading, but if you don't buy the book through the perusal, how would it know?
That's why you have to buy the book. You have to buy the book either through perusal, or the bookstore will give you a code to use on perusal to show you that you've bought the book.
Because I already have the naked statistics and discovering statistics, and I already have it in my PDF file version. So how would Perusal keep track of that if I already have the books?
It won't. That's the problem. That's why you need to buy them through either Perusal or the bookstore.
So I have to buy it even though I have it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have a workaround for that yet.
Okay.
Professor, there's a question in the chat.
Yes, go ahead.
Samantha says we just have to read on Perusal. There's no actual work. Maybe we can go over the 15% bit again.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on Monday. I have a whole bunch of slides about Perusal to go through for next week. So we'll talk about that more because your assignment's not due till the 13th. Right now, I just want you to get signed on, and then we'll talk about how to use it better. I'm going to move on right now to MS Teams because this is the next important thing that we need you to be signed on for. So the way that you got into the meeting today was by clicking a link that I gave you. And it didn't matter whether you had a Teams account or not. If you wanted to sign in, all you needed available to you was the link. But you all do have Teams accounts through CUNY. And so in order to be able to access the slides and the other things that I post on Teams, you're going to need to sign in through your CUNY account. The other benefit of doing that is you will have access to all of the chats from the lectures and the labs. You'll be able to see all of the conversations. And you'll be able also to, if you have a question, just put it directly into the Teams conversation, and one of the instructors can get back to you relatively quickly. So in order to sign on to Teams, first we should just talk about it. We're going to be using it as the repository for all of the slides and lectures. Before class every morning, I will be posting my lecture for the lecture or the lab, depending on which one it is. And if you are having issues with the interface here and want to, well, this time I don't know if we have a call in or not, but you'll be able to use less bandwidth if you want to look at it, or if you're having bandwidth problems, to be able to see it in front of you if you want to download it or take notes on it. So that will be available to you right before class starts. There's going to be class notifications. I'll post them to Teams before anywhere else. We have all of the lectures and the labs are going to be on Teams. Some of the lab sessions some of the extra sessions with the other instructors are also going to be on Teams. Some of those will be on Zoom. And then also you'll have access to the chat features and the other kinds of response features that are in this Teams interface for our classroom. So some of you might have them now, some of you might not. It depends on how you signed in. But this will give you fuller access to that whole suite of services. So so the way to sign on to Teams, and I think that you have all been added to the class by now. We did have a couple of difficulties. So if you're not able to access it at the class yet, we'll discuss that in a moment. But what you do is you go to Microsoft.com. You select Microsoft 365. Then you go ahead and select Teams, or Products rather, and then from there you select Teams. CUNY has the license. You sign on with your official CUNY email, not your Queen's email, so not QMail, but your login.cuny.edu. And so most of you should already be added to the class. And then you can download it on your desktop or your phone or both. It's up to you. So I'm going to have you take just a little break now for the next, we'll come back in 5 minutes. I want you to try signing on to Teams, and then we'll troubleshoot any problems. Go ahead, Hannah.
So I already signed on to Teams, and there's a section for like assignments and lab notebook. But I thought earlier you said the assignments would be on Blackboard, so I was just wondering.
I'll get to that. I'll get to that in a moment.
Okay.
Okay. Great question, though.
Professor, this is Vincent. Should we be doing this now where I minimize your screen and try to get onto Teams?
Yes.
How the heck? Okay.
And we have just a little break in case you need to sign out and sign back on. Okay, so if you're signing on through CUNY, you should be able to see the team already there. We added it for the students. If you don't see it, the first question I'm going to ask you is whether you signed in with the right email. So check that first.
Professor, when I look at teams, I don't see anything in there. It says join or create a team.
All right, let me see. All right, Vincent, I'm going to check. Are you Vincent.Russo11?
Yes.
Okay, I've just added you, so see if that shows up now. Ah, okay, so not everybody's been added yet. We're a little bit behind in that because we had some technical difficulties this week with CUNY First and Blackboard. So I would say just sign on in the meantime with your login, and we will check back on this on Monday. So you should be able to sign in before class on Monday. Error, Chaya, if I said your name right, why don't you speak to us and tell us what the error was? Chaya, I just admitted you, but I saw that you had an error of some kind. Can you tell us what it said?
I'm not getting
Yeah,
it.
once I pressed logged in, it just said error, and then it just bounced me back to my Qmail account because that's what I'm using right now.
Yeah, don't use your Qmail account. You need to use your CUNY login. So it's going to be.
When I tried to use my CUNY login, it said error, and then it just took me back to my Qmail because that's what I'm using now.
All right, so you might need to, after class, you might need to sign out and then sign back in.
Yeah, that's what I'll try doing.
Okay, so this is a goal, is that we will have you all added to the team this week, probably in the next day or so. And by Monday at our lecture, we will have you all signed in. You should all be able to be signed in. And if you're not signed in at that point, we will troubleshoot, okay? So we will get you all squared away. All right. So I will be posting the slides, the lab information. We'll be giving you answers to the labs after they've been handed in. All of that stuff is going to be posted on Teams. We have had one or two students in the past who've had trouble with Teams. We've had to come up with alternate ways for them to get the material, but most of you should be able to get everything from Teams. I don't have a lot of patience for Blackboard. We won't be doing a lot of stuff there. But the one thing that we will be doing is posting your actual lab assignments. Now, the assignments themselves might just be links to a program on R, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But mainly what's going to happen is Blackboard, you'll get a notification or you'll be able to sign in and it'll say that there's an assignment, the lab assignment. The labs are always due the week after they're assigned unless otherwise noted. So readings are due on Mondays, labs are due on Wednesdays, and you're going to be handing your labs in not on Teams, but on Blackboard. And the reason that we do this is because we use the Turnitin software on Blackboard, which checks for plagiarism. So again, as I've told you, we really want the work to be your own. The labs are set up as short essays, and you'll be doing that work and handing it in for us on Blackboard. We'll be doing the same thing with the take-home test. They'll also get handed in on Blackboard through Turnitin. So Turnitin looks for similarity across texts in the repository. So in our case, it'll be looking at the labs and tests from all of our previous semester, and it looks for words for things that are copied. And if you've copied something from another student, or if you've copied something from a website without giving it credit, those are both violations of the academic integrity policies. And we're very strict about that in this course. So if you've violated academic integrity by taking an answer from another website or an answer from another student, or if you're a student who's given someone other answers and both of you show up as having similar tests or lab homeworks, we will take action. So what I want you to take away from this is I really, really, really want you to do the work, and I want you to do your own work. And it's really important to me that you come out of here learning the life skills that I'm hoping to teach you. Go ahead, Hannah.
Should we include like a bibliography if we want to do research because we don't understand like a specific term or want?
You won't need to. You won't need to.
Won't need to? Okay.
Okay, so if you didn't get my email on CUNY First, it is because you have the wrong email in CUNY First and you need to change it to one that you actually use. You also want to check on Blackboard that you have the email that you want. So all of you should have access to Blackboard. You should have two sections for this course. One is the lecture, which is number 1. I think it's 48100. And the other one is going to be your lab. It's going to be either section 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E. So that will determine your lab instructor, and it's the lab Blackboard where you're going to hand things in. But I'll be posting the announcements so that I can get everyone at once just on the main lecture page. So just make sure that your email is set up correctly so you get those notifications. But important notifications are going to come out on Teams. I just want to make sure that we have all our bases covered on the ways to reach you guys. Now, I've mentioned the email in CUNY First. Here's how you update that. And these slides will all be available to you. So you log on to CUNY First and you follow the navigation till you get to your personal information. You select the email link from the drop-down menu, and then you're going to enter what you want there. You might have a lot of email addresses. You can modify the other email address type, or you can add a new type by selecting add an email. And when changes are made, make sure that you click save. Is there a question? And then you'll save the confirmation message. All right, I have another error that I found in my presentation because today we were supposed to have a slide about introducing the instructors. I'm going to stop presenting. You guys have heard enough, I think, from me. I will on Monday we'll be checking in to make sure that you're all signed up. We'll be troubleshooting any kinds of problems. I'll take you through a tutorial of perusal so that we can guarantee that you're going to get that 100 that we want you to get. We're really all rooting for you to succeed, and we have a really, really good team.
I don't see you passing.
For this course. We want you to do more than pass. I am hoping, my hope is to get as many of you as possible ready for advanced work in data. Also because there are so many good jobs now that use data. So if you are interested in any of these things, if you're interested in the analytics minor, if you're interested in the master's program, I ask that you make an appointment to come talk with me so that I can mentor you a little bit. I actually created the analytics minor, and I used to direct the master's program. Holly Reed and I were the ones who took it from being a sociology master's to data analytics and applied social research. And on Monday, I'll be talking about some of the research that I'm doing. I have a $4 million contract coming from the Department of Defense to use data to look at influence operations and how they're a threat to national security. So we'll be talking about that. And a lot of our examples for this year are going to be coming straight from the research, so I can bring you into that world that I am so engaged in. So come talk to me if these things are of interest to you. If the project turns out to be of interest to you, it's a 5-year project and we'll be looking for interns, so that might be something that's possible. And in terms of the other instructors for the class, all of our instructors have taught DATA205 before. They're very expert at teaching it. Some of them have been students through the undergraduate program, and they very much understand where you guys are coming from. And they're going to all have office hours for their sections that you can go to your own TA, or if the time doesn't work out for you, you can go to another one for their sections. And in those sessions, we have the hand holding that you might need if you're having any kind of trouble with the technology or with your lab. If you need more in-depth tutoring, we can also arrange that for you. So we're really here for you. We really want you to succeed. And the other thing that I'm just going to say is that if you have any kinds of problems, it's better to come to us right away. So don't let it fester. If you're having problems signing on to something, if there's something going on in your life that's keeping you from being able to get your work done, I'm very, very responsive to students who are proactive. We try to make accommodations. But if you come to me halfway through the semester to tell me about a problem that you've been having that's, made it difficult for you to do your work, a lot of the times I can't help you with that. Yes, we'll cover RStudio Cloud on Monday. I'm going to now turn over to I'm not sure what happened to my slides. It's kind of like half of them are missing. So this seems to be an ongoing problem. No matter how much we prepare, there's always some issue. So you'll see professors are fallible too. There's plenty of mistakes. And I don't mind when you guys correct me either. As I've told everyone here, it's not a question about making mistakes. It's a question about what you do about them. So I'm now going to turn it over to our different instructors. I want them to introduce themselves, give you a chance to ask them any questions, and get a better sense of who's here to support you. So Wafa, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Wafa. I'm the lab instructor for section 1A and 1D. So you'll see me in the afternoon, also in the morning. I graduated from the MA program last year, and I've been teaching this class for 2 years now. 2 years, yeah, 2 years and a half. This is my third time with Professor Weinberg. I also teach this class at Hunter. So with this class, I just want you to know that it's going to start off stressful, overwhelming. I've been through that too. When I first took the class, it took me 3 weeks to settle in, get all the information that I need to get done. But you'll be fine. We're here for you. You have Professor Weinberg, you have Kali, the TA for our class, you have Shamama, you have Dipaki. All the instructions are here to help you. Even if you're not in the section, you still can ask questions, but it's preferably you'll go to your lab instructor because she knows you better. She grades your assignments and all of that. So with that being said, we're all here for you, but you have to do the work, right? So if you're struggling with something, reach out to us sooner. The sooner the better. You'll get a better chance of getting not a better response, but you'll have more time to understand the response we give you. I don't know if you have any questions for me, but I'm open to all questions.
Shamama, I see you just unlurked. Do you want to introduce yourself next?
Yep, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Shamama. I'm going to be the instructor for the sections, I think it's 1B and 1E right now. I have also been TAing this course for this is the 4th section I think I'm TAing. So I'm familiar with the challenges that the students go through at the beginning all the way up to the end. And as Professor Weinberg said, the earlier you come to us, both her and your TA, the more we can know about your situation and get you the help that you need. We're going to have office hours every week, and we're here to support you through that. And just a little bit about myself. I am still a student of the master's program. I just have my thesis left though, so that's what I'm going to be doing alongside this course. And I am working as a data analyst at a small nonprofit based out of California, part-time alongside TAing at Queens College. If you have any questions for me, I used to be a computer science major and I worked as a software developer in my prior life. So I can help you with any R troubleshooting and especially any technical questions when we get to that part. But we really try to make that as easy as possible so that the focus of this course is on statistics and that you're not overwhelmed by any of the other parts. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, whether it's on MS Teams, via email, or LinkedIn. Please add me. Everything that you can reach out to me on is available too. We're really looking forward to getting to know everyone.
And I would just also say, if you're having trouble, you should email both your lab instructor and me at the same time, so that we're all in the loop together. Dipaki, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? I don't see your camera. I don't know if you have one. You're still on mute. You're making so much noise.
I want to get the stuff.
I don't know if you guys can hear the tromping next to my office. It's my husband going back and forth, opening the door. All right, Dipaki's having some technical issues, so I'm going to turn over to Callie, who is our undergraduate teaching assistant. She actually went through the curriculum in the first rocky semester when we taught this, and so Callie, go ahead and take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. So I was a student in this course a year ago for the pilot when they first did it. And Professor Weinberg was my instructor and Wafa was my wonderful TA. And I want to tell you guys that while this course, it does come with a lot of work, as long as you stay on top of it. And as long as you make sure that, you're diligent, like getting the assignments done and communicating well with your TA and with the professor, it's really not so bad. Like you can manage it, and we're here to help you. This is an amazing team. Like everyone, all the professors and TAs really want to see everybody succeed, myself included, and we want to help you guys however we can to do that. So I'm here. I'll be helping out in the afternoon sections, and if anyone has any questions or needs any advice, I've been through this course. I've taken it with the whole RStudio Cloud, Perusall, Teams. I'm used to it, and I'm happy to help however I can.
Okay. I can talk. Sorry. I'm sorry. My computer overheated and just spazzed. I'm not sure why my camera is not showing, but I'll try to fix that later today. My name is Dipaki. I'm a alumni from the master's program. I graduated in 2018. I also have been teaching this course for about 5 semesters. I took a break for a year and a half as I'm enrolled in a new master's program at Baruch, but I'm really excited to be back. I've worked under Professor Weinberg when she was the director. I was the professor for this class. And like everyone said, we are here to help you, and you guys can contact us on Microsoft Teams, Blackboard, anywhere you really need.
All right, do you guys have questions? Does everybody have a copy of the syllabus?
I actually had a question. I didn't hear which TA was going to be with section 1C.
That would be me. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that.
Dipaki has 1C. And hello. I think that might not have shown up on the courses yet because she was a late addition. In terms of the timing, we were supposed to have someone else who canceled on us at the last minute because he got a full-time job, so we understand why that happened. But we were very, very lucky that Tapaki was available because she's a terrific instructor. So, but it might take CUNY First and Blackboard a little while to catch up with the reality of what's going on here. So, and we'll be posting on Teams the office hours for everybody as we have that available. In your syllabus, there's also the way to reach each of the different lab instructors. So their emails are there for you. If you're signed up onto the Teams channel, you'll also be able to just send a message directly there. If you have a general question for the class, you know, something that you're having trouble with, you can also just post it. Sometimes students will respond, sometimes we'll respond. Go ahead, Marie.
Hi, I was wondering, how do you know if you're in 1A, 1C, 1B?
You should see that on CUNY First.
I've been looking and I haven't seen it, but I'll keep looking. Thank you.
Another way you can see it is if you log into Blackboard, you should be in the section that, like, the title of the section should say what letter it is for 205.
Right, so you'll see 2 entries for 205 in Blackboard for yourself. You'll see the one that's just number 1, that's the lecture. And then one with a letter by it is your section. So that'll be the 1 A, B, C, D. Amazing that I miss D when that's how my name starts, but you know, you do that.
Okay, thank you.
And so, yeah, so you'll see it there as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so on Monday, we'll go through Perusal. We'll go through how to use Perusal. We'll also sign you up for RStudio Cloud, so you'll be ready for our lab on Wednesday next week when we'll use it for the first time. You'll have your first assignment. That won't be due until the 15th when we're back from that little break in the middle, which makes our semester a little awkward. So, you know. And then I would just say for those of you who are on the fence about the course, just make sure that you pay attention to what the drop dates are and the returns for the books, because I don't want you to get stuck. Vincent, I see your mouth moving, but you're on mute.
I'm sorry, Professor. Thank you.
Yep.
Professor, I do have a minor issue. It's a personal thing. I know next Wednesday you said we'd be starting the lab. Unfortunately, next Wednesday I won't be able to make it. Is there any way I could you give me the lab assignment, or how do I catch up on that?
Yeah, so I'm going to post the lab slides because we're going to have slides where we go over what you're going to need to do. And then you'll have the directions that are in there. For the lab that's this coming week, we're going to be working on R. And so you'll be able to use the code that's there to, once you've set up your RStudio account, which we'll do on Monday, you'll be able to sign in and use the link that we have so that you'll be able to access the project and you'll be able to follow the directions from there.
Okay.
And then if you run into any trouble, you'll be able to go to one of the lab, one of the instructor office hour sessions for extra help.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm also going to just say, pet peeve of mine, students sometimes write to me and say, I had to miss class. Did I miss anything important? Now, I know what you mean by that, but in my peevish days, I sometimes take offense to that because I have to feel that, like, when I'm standing here talking to you for 2 hours, that I'm telling you something that's important. And if I'm not, I'm wasting everybody's time, including my own. So the slides will all be posted from the class, and then Callie has graciously agreed to do notes. So her notes on the slides will also be available. And then, of course, we also have the office hour sessions. Now, we understand that life intervenes. You can't make it to all of the classes. We are taking attendance, but then also there is a way this semester to get extra credit by participating in the lectures. So when we did our what's going on in this graph today, for example, you know, when we do things like that, or if you have thoughtful questions, you know, that kind of thing, we want to encourage your participation. It's hard to feel like you're part of things when you're on a Teams, you know, lecture, especially when I'm just droning on and on and on in the background. So it's really nice to break it up, to have you guys bringing your insights about things. As I said, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff about influence operations, which are something that are, you know, as you'll see, very salient and part of everybody's life right now, all of this fake news, the infiltration by the Russians and the Chinese. And so we'll be talking a lot about those things too. I hope you'll get as excited about it as we are. And we really love to have you unlurk to ask your questions. So sometimes you guys feel that your questions are stupid. I can guarantee you that if you have a question, most likely there's at least one other person, probably more in the class, who has it too. So we encourage you to be the brave one to speak up. And it's only by asking those questions that we can sort you out. There's no shame in not understanding something or not getting it right the first time. Other questions?
Yes, Professor, I'm feeling nervous about MS Teams because every time I follow the instructions and then I go back, I don't see the actual team that I need to be under.
Right. So I just checked in and it looks like we're a little behind in adding you guys to the course. So that will happen in the next day or so. So if you check back by Monday morning before class, you should be completely in. And if you're not in, we'll take some time to troubleshoot it then.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Everything that I went over today, maybe not the mechanics of it, but the information is available to you in the syllabus. And once you have access to the team chat, it'll be available to you there as well. And I can send out an email later today to everybody with the attachment from the slides. So you guys can have that until you get access to Teams. Vincent, do you have another question?
Yes, I'm sorry to bother you. What is
It's not a bother.
Okay, what is the link again for Microsoft Teams? Is it Microsoft.365.com?
It's just Microsoft.com will take you there, and then you'll select 365.
Microsoft.com. Okay.
You can also just Google Microsoft Teams login, and it might take you directly to the login page.
Thank you.
Oh, see, Shamama, our data expert, has told us that if we do teams.microsoft.com, we can get there more directly as well. I see Jana. Did I say that right? And please
Yeah, you said
correct me
that
if
correctly. Can you hear me?
Yes, please correct me, all of you, if I mispronounce your name. I want to make sure that I get it right. Go ahead.
So on Blackboard, we're supposed to have like 2 entries of the class, one for the lecture and one for the lab.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I have the lecture, but I don't have the lab. The lab isn't showing up.
Okay. It could be that you are one of the rare people who signed up who got away with not having signed up for both the lecture and the lab.
Oh, okay.
So we need to make sure that you're actually enrolled in the lab. So you're going to need to check your CUNY first.
Okay.
Okay, other questions? Go ahead, Hannah.
So I have both the lecture and the lab, but the lab is still like grayed out and is not currently available. Will it ever be available, or will everything be like submitted through the lecture section of Blackboard?
No, it will be made available very soon when we have our first assignment and we post it there. Right now, there's nothing to see there. The syllabus is posted on my lecture.
All right, thank you.
But I also sent it to you guys if you got the email. So,
Professor?
Yes.
We'll be having are we going to able the recording of the lectures?
We are not going to be recording the lectures. And this has been like one of these controversial questions that we get every semester, because I know a lot of you feel like you want to be able to watch it again, or maybe you don't really want to be here with us the first time and you'd rather watch it later at your leisure. And the issue is that I really, really want people to participate in class. And if we're recording, it makes it harder for people to feel free to do that. So we don't record, but we do have all of the slides, and I go straight from the slides most of the time. And as I said, we'll also have the notes available to you.
Okay, thank you.
Jana, do you have another question?
Yeah, so I just checked my CUNY first and I am enrolled in the lab section 1C. So, and it doesn't
Okay.
show up in my lab. I mean, it doesn't show up in Blackboard.
Shamama, have you encountered that before? You're still muted.
Oh, sorry. It just took a while to unmute. Yeah, that happens if you join the course really recently. So we could wait a couple days, but if by Friday you're not in the Blackboard section, we're gonna probably have to reach out to IT to do that for you. I remember in some of my other courses this has happened.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other, Vincent and Jennifer, I see that you still have your hands up. Are those from before or do you have new questions?
So I realized that I'm not joined into the lab course. So I wasn't aware that you had to, like, I assumed that the labs were part of the 2-day class meetings, like automatically, but I didn't have to join another lab class with adding the data course. So is that something I have to do?
I don't know how you could have signed in through CUNY first and not been assigned a lab, but there may have been some kind of glitch. So we need to get you sorted so that you're in both parts of the class.
Yeah, because I'm on your class on Monday and Wednesdays,
Well, so what is the Wednesday meeting?
10 to 11:55, same time.
Yeah, and what does it have a section number?
1 second, sorry. Sorry. It says 1B.
Okay, so
Oh
you're in
yeah,
1D, did you say?
and Wednesday is 1B.
Okay, so you're in the right place, and
Okay.
that is Shamama's section, right? 1B?
Yeah. I just heard you before say that you had to add the lab, so I was like really confused for a second, but never mind. I'm sorry. Thank
You're
you.
all set. No, you're all set.
But wait, Jennifer, you were saying you can't see it on Blackboard or you can?
Yeah, I don't see the lab part on my Blackboard, but on on the Teams,
So I think the way to double check is just go to your Blackboard home. Sometimes it doesn't show up in that top right menu. And just make sure that in the long list of my courses, it's not somewhere there. And if you still don't see it by Friday, just shoot both Professor Weinberg and me an email so we can get that figured out, because it seems that other people are also having this issue.
Yeah, I did that, and so far I only see the introductory analytics 2051 and not the 1B yet.
I have a hate on for Blackboard, just so you all understand, which is why we're using Teams. I was teaching one semester where Blackboard went out for 20 days in the middle of the semester, and I have never forgiven them. There's all these little glitchy things happen there. We'll just try to get it sorted out as best we can. I see that Sharing has a question.
Sorry, Professor.
Hold on just a moment, Sharing. Go ahead, Shamama.
I just saw on my own Blackboard that my courses were previously unavailable to students, so maybe that's why it's not showing up. I've made them available now. Maybe all of the instructors will have to do that so that everybody can see their sections.
Okay, so the goal here is to have all of these things worked out Monday. So go ahead and try to sign in, get your accounts set up, and if we run into any trouble, we'll be able to troubleshoot it, on Monday, understanding that it's taken a little while to get everything up and running. Go ahead, Sharing.
Hi, Professor. Good morning. So I have this might sound like a stupid question. So am I supposed to drop this class if I have already taken 49?
Yeah, if you've already taken Soc 249, then you don't need, I mean, Econ 249, which is a statistics course, then you don't need this one for a requirement. And because they're supposedly similar, although I would wager we're teaching fairly different things, I would say that this one won't help you.
Because this is fulfilling my general elective course. So do I still need to drop it? Because my
I
duty
think you
was
need to talk to somebody in advising. I'm not sure what the policy is on that one, because ours does count for quantitative reasoning, which is probably why you're taking it, but I don't know if they'll give you credit if you already took Econ 249.
because while registering for this course, I didn't see as such because this was as equivalent to Econ 249 because I thought it was two different courses.
Yeah, this one's supposed to be equivalent, so I think you need to talk to somebody in the registrar's office just to get a final ruling on that. That's above my it's above my level.
Oh, okay.
I don't have
Thank you, Professor.
authorization. Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You would be the first Econ 249 student who is doing that for those reasons. We have had a couple of students who wandered in here who have already taken statistics from one of the community colleges. And if you've done that, then you don't need this big course. You can just take a 1-credit 207 course, which is available online.
I think Hannah had a question, Hannah Chen, but I accidentally lowered her hand.
Oh, okay, Hannah, go ahead.
I think this might have already been stated, but I just wanted to confirm. So due to a religious holiday, I'm going to have to miss a few days of the class. And I just wanted to confirm that through like the lecture slides and then the lab notes that Callie's providing, like I wouldn't really be missing anything essential for like the lab or the lab assignments or the tests.
Well, so what I would recommend in that case is that you're going to have a lot of documentation to look at. And, you know, especially given that it's because of religious holiday reasons, make sure that you reach out to me and your TA to let us know that this is the situation. We can give you extensions if that's, you know, something that's necessary. And we can also arrange for you to either come to the office hours if they're not conflicting with the holidays, or we can do a special appointment for you.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. But guys, this is what I'm talking about in terms of being proactive. Like Hannah's talking to us right now, so we can make the arrangements. If she came to us a couple of weeks from now after all of the Jewish holidays and was like, oh, you know, I didn't do it, I forgot, whatever, we wouldn't be very helpful. So you can see that we're like really willing to accommodate when you let us know as soon as you can. Obviously, there are some times when crazy things happen and you have to tell us a little bit after, but like the soonest you can reach us about these things, the more that we'll be able to help you through it. Anna Linda?
Hi. Oh, I was confused what you were saying about if we already took a statistics course, because for the sociology major, that's what I needed this class for, but I did take statistics 101. So
where did you take it?
In a community college, like as a credit.
Yeah, so you should be able to transfer that credit over and take this. Usually what happens at the community colleges is they have a 3-credit rather than a 4-credit course. Yes. Right. And what they often do is they work from a textbook, but they don't have you working with the computer program.
Yeah.
And so what'll happen is in the 1-credit course, you'll use all of the all of the information that you learned, all of the different kinds of tests and different types of ways of using the data, but you'll be using the computer program for it. I think they use SPSS in the 1-credit course. Okay. So if you haven't transferred that credit and you feel that you want to take this 6 contact hours with us, you are welcome to do so. But if you've transferred the credit already, they're not going to double count the 101 and the 205.
Okay.
So, you know, that's the issue here.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so you might be better off signing up for the 1 credit.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. But I will say to those of you who are thinking about that, if you really are interested in you know, the analytics minor or something like that, there's a lot to be gained from doing this course because we're teaching in R, which is what the more advanced courses in the analytics minor are using, and also what they're using in the master's program. Right now, this is the only of the 205 lecture lab sections that's using R. Other questions? Go ahead, Gail.
Thank you. I wanted to confirm, like, for me, I have 1D, so I knew what you said earlier. I just wanted to stick around for this part because I have the obligation of picking up my cousins, and that would be by the time class ends. So I would need like an extra 15 minutes just to get there to pick them up. So I was going to ask, because I know that that is the actual lab portion, if you know.
Yeah, it's not a problem for you to do this one instead. Wafa, that would be one of your, Gail would be one of your students. So if you just make sure that you realize she's here in the morning instead of looking for her in the afternoon, I think we'll be all set.
Okay, thank you.
Problem solved. Ta-da! All right. It's now just about time to finish the class. It's amazing how the introductory class can take us all the way through to the end, but it does, and we didn't even sign up for R yet. There's a lot of business to do at the beginning of this class, but it'll all start to make sense. We'll get you all up and running, and it won't seem so crazy and disjointed once we're in the thick of it. So I encourage you again, keep breathing, stay calm. This can be a very easy course in a lot of ways. It's just that you've got to keep on top of the work. And I'll also tell you that we've slowed it down quite a bit from that first semester when Callie suffered through it. So I think we've got a winning combination now that students respond really well to. So I'm very excited to spend the semester with you. I hope that after this introduction, you're excited to spend it with us. And we'll see you again on Monday. In the meantime, if there's any issues, just send an email to me and your instructor, or drop us a line if you have access to Teams. If you don't have the access yet, don't panic. We'll get everything sorted out on Monday if it's not sorted out, before then. So have a good rest of your week. Welcome back.